emotionally understand what your daughter has. You guys are delusional as to who she is and what she has. I'm sorry.
I don't think you'll ever convince me, or anybody will ever convince me, that Gypsy wasn't abused. It's hard for me to put myself
I'm not saying she wasn't, Rod. Rod, okay, look, there are specific criteria to prove medical child abuse, and she does not have that specific criteria. Okay, so I'm not saying she wasn't abused in any way, shape, or form. There's no substantiated proof she was abused emotionally or physically. Okay, but it's not to say it didn't happen. What I'm telling you is I can say within a shadow of a doubt, she was not medically child abused, which is the new clinical term for Munchausen by proxy or factitious disorder imposed upon another. It was malingering, and yes, I'm assuming that is abusive. It was controlling. I had a controlling mother. She was abusive. Okay, that's why I came to this case, because I understood. But what you're not understanding is there is a clear difference between that type of abuse and medical child abuse.
Okay, so
I'm not saying she wasn't abused, Rod.
How much
Possibly.
How much abuse does somebody have to take to think about killing their own mother? Okay, think about
exactly, Rod. But I don't think it was abuse. Could it be another reason? Could there be another reason for her wanting to unalive her mother?
I can't get a word in with you, Fancy. I can't. You gonna let me talk, please?
I'm sorry. Yes, I will. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Rod.
So, like I said, nobody can convince me that she wasn't abused. Put myself in Gypsy's shoes.
Okay.
Think about killing your own mother, trying it before, running away, getting caught, brought back, chained up, so controlled. You can call it medical abuse, malingering, whatever you want to call it. That's just semantics. But to think that you're gonna kill your own mother to get away from
Rod,
her.
may I ask you a question about what you just said? Do you have any proof whatsoever that Gypsy was ever chained to a bed anywhere other than her saying it?
I do not. But you want to believe you. Okay? And
Rod, without evidence, there's no way for you to prove that, and there's no way for me to prove it did not happen. So the only thing I can tell you is that, again, medical child abuse did not occur. So then if you want to just look at abuse, that's fine. However, most abuse victims do not unalive their mothers. And I do not believe that was the motivation for your daughter to unalive Dee Dee. I believe there is evidence that shows a different motive. And she was already gone. She had walked out. She was 23 years old. And Rod, she did know how old she was. It's very clear that she knew how old she was based on several things in the police reports. She also was told, the officers, that she was thrown out 2 days before. So what possible reason, Rod, would she have to go back and unalive her mother? Her mom told her, go to Wisconsin with the boy. At least you'll be happy. She told the detectives that. Why didn't she just do that?
I think she was scared as shit of her mom. She thought that was the only way out.
I think her mother was scared shitless of her.
It was a bad decision. She knows that. She went to court. All the evidence that you have is the
Rod,
same
it's not
evidence.
a bad decision. A bad decision is deciding to buy, a bad decision is smoking pot and getting caught for it. That's a bad decision. A bad decision is not unaliving your mother when you had every ability to walk out. You knew that you could prove that you were 23 years old. The abuse had not been, the abuse that you guys are alleging, the medical child abuse, had all but stopped in 2011 by her records anyway, if that's to be believed. So she had no reason, Raj. All she had to do was leave or call you. I don't believe any amount of abuse warrants what she did, nor do I believe it is the motivation, Rod. I'm sorry.
Well, so you're trying to prove a motive when this...
I'm sorry, repeat. I can't hear you. Repeat. I'm trying to prove what?
Her motive? That's what you're trying to prove. When she's got her sentence.
Motive.
All the evidence that you have, Fancy, all those medical records, they had all of this stuff.
Yeah, your wife lied about having him too, Rod. Did you know that?
She was offered a plea deal. She took the plea deal.
Yeah, when did she take that? Can you, okay, let me ask you a question, Ron. First of all, I want to ask two questions. At what point in time did you start working with HBO? And at what point in time did Gypsy take her plea deal, please?
We started working with HBO before the plea deal, and then
Yep.
she took the plea deal when the show came out.
Okay, so when did they provide you with the USB drive that you handed to Mike Stanfield to use in her defense for her plea deal? When did that happen? Because I have a letter stating that that HBO and Aaron Lee Carr gave you this and gave you a copy for Mike Stanfield to go ahead and get that plea deal. So when did that happen?
I don't know what went on between HBO and Mike Stanfield. Mike Stanfield was the defense attorney.
No, you do know, because that letter was addressed to both you and Christy, telling you that they concluded a USB drive to give to Mike Stanfield. It is in the letter I have from HBO. It's your letter to you and Christy.
So what's the point? It's evidence. Whoever Mike.
The point is that HBO and Gypsy, Christy, and Raw, not you. I'm sorry, not you. Let me explain. The deal is that HBO, Mike Stanfield, Christy, and Gypsy sold a false narrative to the public before she took her plea deal, before Nick went to trial, so that she could get that plea deal, and she didn't have to go to trial and face the same penalties that Nicholas did. Because I believe that if a jury had seen all the evidence that I have, they would have convicted your daughter on life, just like they did Nicholas. And when they did that, they released Mommy Dead and Dearest before he went to trial to bias the jury. I'm sorry. You've been had by your own family, sir. I don't have a beef with you, Rod. I never have. I think that you were a father at 17 who was, picked a woman who was overbearing and bossy and mean sometimes, and she tried to manipulate you, and you saw that and you ran away. I get that. No fault in that. But I do believe that you have a pattern of dating and being with manipulative women, and you allow them to do this to you and control you in this manner, and you may not even notice. But what I'm telling you, sir, is I have the records, the evidence to back up the claims I'm making, and perhaps you might want to listen to me to understand better this case, because clearly, sir, you're admitting you don't know. Your wife might know, but I don't think you know all the ins and outs.
I don't need to know all the ins and outs. This is a bunch of drama.
Well, you do, Rod, because what you're saying is false.
Just knowing the fact that I've seen my daughter walk for the first time in that courtroom and was able to.
Is that true, Rod? Because you're okay. Wait a minute, Rod. Okay, so you said the first time you saw your daughter walk was in that courtroom, correct?
Yes.
When was the last time you had ever seen her walk?
Oh, she was probably about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years old.
So you're telling me from 3 years old on, you never saw your daughter walk?
Not that I recall. Once she was in the wheelchair.
Okay, so the motorcycle. Okay, that's a good point. When did the wheelchair show up, Rod?
I don't know. It was after.
Was she 7, 8, or was she 3 or 4?
After the motorcycle accident.
Did it happen after? Okay, so it happened after the motorcycle accident. Then what you just said was inaccurate, sir, because the motorcycle accident didn't happen until she was 7 or 8 years old, which means that the entire, up to the point from 3 to 4 to 7 to 8, she was walking. All right, so you saw her walking at 8. Then the wheelchair shows up, and then you don't see her walking again until you were in court, which is why your wife specifically said that we knew she could walk. But what Gypsy said in her testimony was, I always knew I could walk, and I always knew I was not sick. So if she testified to that, that is her admission to all of that. And if she is now saying that that's not true, then, Rod, she committed perjury.
I don't think she's saying that's not true. Like you said, I don't understand.
How do you not think she's saying that's not true?
I don't know.
I know. Rod, look, I could debate with you all day, and I will run you in circles because I have all the evidence, and I've done all the job, I've done all the work, and I am highly, highly educated in this and highly intelligent. I am not trying to say that to talk down to you. I just think you're misinformed, and I think you've been misled by the women in your life. If you want to know really what happened, I will be happy to provide you with anything you want to look at, to understand. You don't have to talk to me. I have other people that I can pass this through to you. But if you're really interested in knowing why your daughter did this to protect your grandchild and your other family members, you really need to be more informed, sir. And I just would like to help you, Rod. I always wanted to help you. All I ever wanted to do was tell the truth.
Fancy, I am informed. I lived this. Since Gypsy was born, I lived this.
But you said you didn't live this, Rod. You said that she was far away. You said that you never went to her doctor's appointments. You said you never saw her. However, we have quite a few pictures where I'm pretty sure you had a relationship with her for quite a long time.
I did. When she was younger, after they started moving away towards New Orleans and everything, I didn't see her at all for many years. But I remember her being.
And why is that, Rod? Why did you never go for visitation, Rod?
And I was busy working life. You know, we tried to make a trip when she was maybe 17, 18.
So you willfully did not participate in your daughter's life because you were working, and I get that. But sir, then you can't sit here and tell me that you lived it, because you didn't. You were offshore, and you have no idea what Dee Dee, nor Christy, nor Gypsy, nor any of the other family members were doing back home. You yourself have admitted that you never ever went to a doctor's appointment, not one time. You never questioned her. You never took her to court for anything except for the one time where you disputed some of the medical charges. I think she told you the truth, Rod, and I think you believed that because it was the truth. And I think now they are changing the narrative because it doesn't fit.
Fancy. She thought about killing her mom at the other. That's all the
why,
truth.
Rod? Why? She started thinking about killing her mother all the way back to 2011, sir, when she shot her with a BB gun 10 times.
Yeah, because she wanted to get away from her, man.
For what reason, Rod? Why didn't she just leave? She was in 2011. She was over the age of 18. Why didn't she call you? Why didn't she just leave, Rod? She knew.
I don't know. I can't. She didn't leave. She was probably scared shitless to get caught again, Fancy.
Rod, no, the cops never brought her home. Do you understand that? The cops have never been called to bring her home. She willfully walked out of Dan's roommate's house and went home with your wife because with your ex-wife, because your ex-wife told her she wanted the drugs that she stole, the money that she stole, and she told her if she returned home with her, she would go ahead and allow her to have the relationship with Dan. No police ever brought your daughter back. The only time that the police were ever involved was in 2009 when a nurse that worked for Dr. Steele supposedly called in a welfare check. 2 officers and 2 CPS workers went out to the home. They spoke to Gypsy. They saw an ID that proved that Gypsy was over the age of 18. Dee Dee provided them with medical records that showed that she did have some of the developmental delays and the actual physical ailments that she had. Gypsy told them that nothing was wrong, and Gypsy did not leave. They gave her the opportunity to leave that day, and she did not. She could have walked out of there with the police that day, and she chose to stay because she wanted to continue in the con, Rod. I'm sorry. The only time she decided it was no longer suiting to her and decided to unalive her mother is when her mom told her she could not be with boys. Men, lots of them, Rod, lots of them. We have proof of this.
The cops wouldn't get her or nothing. Dee Dee got her back home, and she was scared.
No,
that was her way.
She didn't have to go home with her, Rod. Why wouldn't she have just? Why didn't she call the police that day? They would have come out and verified her ID.
I don't know. I can't answer that. That's a good question.
Exactly. You can't answer that. That's the problem. She had every opportunity to leave, and she did not. So I do not believe that abuse is the motivating factor for the reason that she killed your wife. I believe your ex-wife. There is many, many other reasons that we believe is a motivation for this, sir.
Well,
and I can show them to you. The investigators did not continue to investigate after your daughter took a plea deal. They were instructed by Dan Patterson to stop investigating. They already had a confession from her co-defendant. They did none of the investigating, and the officers in the case said that they were investigating a long financial fraud, and they were very upset that they did not get to take this to trial because they believed they had evidence to prove why this was done, and it had nothing to do with abuse. You and HBO, your wife, Gypsy, all changed that narrative, and you have lied to the public for 9 years. Not you specifically, I don't think, but your wife and your child have. Your daughter, Mia, even is calling her out in front of her. Can you not see the writing on the wall, Rod? She's a very disturbed girl, and she needs help. You're denying that she has medical conditions. You're denying that it has anything to do, that she has any medical conditions related to the chromosome disorder. And do you understand, for the health of your grandchild, that is rather dangerous.
I don't think Gypsy has any medical conditions.
Rod, she has medical conditions. She's taking medications. She has conditions from this, Rod. They're proven in her medical records. What are you talking about?
She got a full checkup when she...
Rod, can I ask you a question? Can you please go to Rare Chromo? Please go to rarechromo.org, type in the microdeletion of the 1Q21.1 that she has, and look at the 11 or 12 page document that they have. If you do so, it lists every single one of Gypsy's conditions throughout her life as being part of this type of disorder, sir. And it has varying levels of degrees of severity, from no symptoms whatsoever all the way up to a baby being born with severe microcephaly that cannot not last outside of the womb for more than a few days. There are serious ramifications, and if you have not done genetic counseling, sir, you're not protecting your grandchildren. You're not protecting Mia's grandchildren. You're not protecting any of Dylan's children, and you're not protecting Nicolette's children, and you're not protecting Gypsy's children because you're choosing to be willfully ignorant. Just go get the counseling done, sir. I'm trying to save your grandchild's life.
Oh, God, Fancy, thank you so much.
Well, you can be a shithead about it, or you can actually go do the genetic counseling that was recommended to you several times. Your daughter even made a post that she feels that maybe she's a bad mom at this point right now because she didn't realize that it could be passed down. Well, you know who did know that it could be passed down? Your wife, because I told her that in 2019, and so did Titania.
Gypsy has a doctor that she's seeing about her baby.
What kind of doctor?
That, you know...
No, is it a general
I feel like this is getting extremely abusive, this conversation. I think it's getting out of hand. It's being, I think this is, it's an attack.
And go through her, we don't,
Yeah,
if you guys want to have, if Rod and Fancy, if you guys want to have that conversation, I just feel like it's getting a little hot and you know what I mean? And I feel like without anything in front of Rod, we can't expect him to answer. You can't expect him to know or remember on the spot, or so. I agree with that. I agree. It looks unfair to Rod, and so I'm going to call that one.
Well, that's why I've repeatedly asked him to speak to me privately.
Right. If you guys want to have a private conversation, absolutely. I just feel
thank you for allowing me to speak with you, Rod.
Prepared for that. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Rod, I'm serious. If you would like some information, please reach out to me. I will give you anything you need. I am not an enemy of you. I am not an enemy of your family. I simply want to tell the truthful story, sir. So if you would like to speak to me further, please, Rod, Christy has my phone number. You can call me. I've asked her to call me several times through Jasmine, and she did not, because I wanted to tell you this before I found out she was pregnant, because I got confirmation this year. Okay? I would like to have a further conversation with you, and I do agree that doing this without him being able to prepare himself is not okay. But I wanted to very much put into your head things to think about.
Fancy, I think we can have a conversation till you blue.
What'd you say?
A couple simple facts. I think we can have a conversation till you blue in the face. You're not going to change my belief, his motive.
Well, that's fine, Rod, but can you please agree to tell your wife and your child to stop harassing, stalking, and cyberbullying me? Because what I have, I am bringing with facts and evidence.
Guys, I'm going to call. Yeah, I'm going to call.
Thank you.
Yeah,
all right, I'll step down.
If you don't mind, hi Rod, my name is Jennifer. I just wanted to, I feel like earlier when Francie was explaining to the Munchausen's by proxy and the malingering, that maybe it wasn't explained to what she was trying to say. When Munchausen by proxy, there's always a win in it for the abuser. You know, they make the person sick and then they get them better, and there's kind of this heroic thing that goes along with it. And I think what she was trying to get you to understand is that's not what wasn't Dee Dee's pattern, you know, to get Gypsy sick and then to get her better and be the hero and, you know, always running to the rescue. And I think that's where that, you know, the gray area is that we don't see here, that the malingering, that there was so much and especially when Gypsy was older, that we feel like she was playing into a part to keep that going for financial gain, because, you know, the sicker she was, the more rewards came with it. So, you know, and there was a point where she did know that she could walk, her muscle tone, everything else, you know, it shows us that she was walking more than she was in a wheelchair. She was able to get up and leave anytime she wanted. She was able to probably walking around the house all the time because the wheelchair was not accessible with all the garbage and junk everywhere. That wheelchair was not being used inside. So I think that's where a lot of the doubt and question comes in. And Ivory's a nurse as well as I am. And, you know, we haven't looked over everything 100%. We're very new to this chromosome deletion. But we have looked at a lot of other things. I think that's where the public gets that there's so much confusion with this, is we really do feel like it was a more malingering. And that's when, you know, two people are working together for the same goal because there's a goal at the end of it. You know, there's a win, there's a prize. And it seemed like that's what was happening.
And I think right now the public, with her continuing to financial gain off this whole crime, is, again, where the public is pissed off.
Yeah.
You know, you were all making money off of such a horrific, horrible thing that was, again, we feel like that whole story was a scam. Okay? And the fact that she's still doing it doesn't, you got to say, admit it though, Rod, it doesn't look good. No. It looks crappy. I mean, at least be honest, though. It looks like she's still trying to gain off of all of this.
Right.
I get it. I get that. I mean,
You know,
I don't think anybody should be making money or
off of a horrific thing. And I think that's where the public comes in and goes, you know, if it was a scam, all right, so I'm not even going to tell you, if it was a scam, and there was obviously, even if she did have Munchausen's by proxy, and I don't think she did, but even if she did, there was still a scamming on Gypsy's part either way. She knew a lot more, and she admitted to knowing a lot more. So then here you are scamming people for profit, and then you come out of prison where people feel you didn't serve enough time for your crime, and rightfully so. And then you come out and then you're getting all this financial gain for being noted and being quote unquote famous as exactly that. And so the people are pissed off, like you're dancing around here and getting loaded off the fact that you did something horrible. And then honestly, it's practically getting away with it scot-free, because 8.5 years compared to the life plus 25 that the other person got. Do you see where the public feels like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I don't look at it like it was just 8.5 years. I look at it like it was 33 years. You know,
okay.
So I think.
Okay, that's how you see it, but not for the crime. For the crime, it was 8.5 years she served for the crime.
That's right. And
no, not her victimization, but her crime. And then you have to understand, wasn't Nick also a victim of her? She manipulated him, Rod, 2 years. So it's not like Dee Dee was doing this and then she just snapped one day. She took in another person and plotted and planned it and groomed him to do it. So do you understand why the people, the public, are sitting there looking at you all like it's disgusting? You're all profiting off of one guy's in prison because he was manipulated for 2 years, and then she murdered somebody and sat for 8.5 years, and then is out trying to act like I'm this great person, influencing the young all over social media. Do you see where the public's concerned? Still making the money.
And you know, Rod, how can you even say that there wasn't any acting in this? I mean, we have a video of her at Disney, you know, eating royal mashed potatoes, and literally 6 days later, she's on a video with Nick dressed up like Ruby, you know, talking about God knows what. You know, she was able to go from sick gypsy to not sick gypsy within hours. So that she absolutely was putting on an act for, you know, the public and somebody else behind closed doors. That's concerning when you can be those two completely separate people within hours of the other one. You know, in 1 minute she's in a wheelchair and she's a Disney princess eating mashed potatoes, and that night she's got her tatas hanging out with a red wig on talking about she's Ruby. And, you know, I mean, you can't see that how the public sees that there was some performance on her part.
And then for the whole family to make money off of it, someone is dead, someone is gone, and someone will never come out of prison. Like, so for us to sit there and watch you all acting like we're some fancy, famous people, but 2 lives and more than that were affected and lost that day. And why should you guys get to celebrate? Why should she be out there celebrating like this and acting a fool with no humility and just acting like when she did this to people? Ultimately, she was the key card player.
I don't
Do you
think
understand? So you're like, why is the public picking on me? Get yourself out of the limelight. You want to have a quiet family life? Stop collecting money on the death of Dee Dee. Even if she did abuse Gypsy, you're all wrong. You're wrong for it. And the public doesn't appreciate it.
I'm curious what he has to say. I mean, how do you explain that, Rod, all of this? Do you understand?
I understand what y'all are saying. I understand it looks bad.
It is bad. It does not. It looks bad. It is bad.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and
Even
no
if
matter
she was
what,
a
she's the
victim of
mother of your
Munchausen by
children.
proxy, even if she was a victim, it is still not right for your family to be collecting off the death of Dee Dee Blanchard and the imprisonment of Nick Godejohn.
And the continual manipulation. I mean, we watched it on Lifetime for the past 5 months. I mean, you know, we watched her manipulate your family, Ryan. I mean, just, you know, it's crazy that it seems like she has not gotten any better. She is a master manipulator and a sociopath at best. You can sit back and watch this happen, and you seem like a really nice guy. Trust me, our hearts all go out to you. I think you are caught up in a mess that you don't know how to get yourself out.
Can I say something on Christy's behalf, though? And I've said this, and anybody who watches my lives or videos know I've said this. So when you look at me, I don't see Dylan. I don't mention him just because he keeps private, and I will respect that. But when you see Mia on the show and you see her on, you know, she doesn't profit off of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm not.
And so you kind of feel bad for her. You guys, you just all need to stop collecting money, stop collecting a payday on somebody's life imprisonment and death. It just makes you all look horrible. And then you all get upset when people talk about you. Well, people don't like you because of it. I'm going to be honest, and I'm not trying to be rude. People don't like you.
I only get upset when people are saying things that are untrue, in my opinion, that I know for sure is not true. Just like somebody said a while ago, Gypsy has a parole hearing. She doesn't. Okay? So, look.
And that's fine. But if you don't want people to say things that aren't true, again, take your family out of the spotlight. Take them away from the camera lens. Then people will not talk about them.
I mean, you're making money off of, no matter what. Dee Dee was the mother of your daughter. I mean, at one time, you had to have cared about this woman, and your whole family is profiting off of her death, and a death that was committed by your daughter, who manipulated a kid that probably couldn't hardly barely tie his own shoes. And here, you know, she's flipped around with Kim Kardashian and walking the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I mean, it's disgusting.
And then I'll give credit. You can tell you and Christy raised Mia and Dylan well. And I've said that, and everybody here who's on here has heard me say that. The problem is Christy wants to not look bad, but she just looks like she just wants the most benefit, and she just looks like a vindictive stepmother. You guys need to get out of the spotlight. You don't, and that may not be true. I'm not saying that's true, but I'm just saying, does she see? She needs to understand that from the public's view, that's what she makes herself look like. So this is doing you no benefit other than financial gain. People are not going to stop talking about it. It's just what it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was
I
a
agree.
bit. I think she has a story to tell. I think she still has support. I think she is progressing, and we're part of that journey with her. We want to see
Really,
her.
Rod, you can't even, you know what? I was with you up until there. I believe, and again, I'm with Fancy though. I believe that, she wasn't parented right and there was manipulation to Gypsy on the same part. But no, it's not because she has a story, Rod.
But now is the time where you could be that
you can
parent.
do for Gypsy if you loved your family is take them out of the spotlight. It looks like you don't care about, Christy doesn't care about Gypsy. Look what she did to her between the marriage and that's what we're seeing. And then we like you even less. And then we're going to continue talking. And then you're all getting upset. So again, take yourself out for a little bit, get her therapy, and then let her speak about her story. But we don't see a story. We see TV trash. And you're just getting money off of someone's death. And it looks horrible.
Okay,
And if you really cared how you look, then you would see that.
That's not how everyone sees it.
Oh, that's how the majority see it.
Well,
You're right.
Don't you see it that way, Rod?
She doesn't talk about her sickness or her victimization on the show. She's talking about men. Where in there is she helping anybody?
Yeah.
Where? I'm going to teach you how to go from a husband to a baby daddy real quick. Where is she advocating for anybody or showing a victim story in that? Come on. She's trying to catch her husband, pulling an Amber Heard, trying to catch her husband so she can look like a victim again. Where is she in there telling her story? What story?
Not once, never.
what did you expect her to come out and be perfect? Not make any
I
mistakes?
expect her to come out, get some therapy, and don't complain when you're going to act like trash on TV and then complain when people talk about you. She should be coming out. You want to talk about your story, then make the show about her story, not about her trashy love life that she can't handle.
It's her story.
Right?
Nobody knows what her story is going to be. Nobody knew she was going to come out.
We just went through a whole season, and what's her story? You're right. So how can you say it's because she has a story and people are watching her? Because she has a story. She hasn't said anything about a story.
You say
What
she
is
wasn't
her story?
raised right. Maybe
So
this
you're
is the
just
time
trying
you
to make
can
money
step
off of
in.
her trashy image, not because she has a story to tell. Now, if she actually sat down and said, "This is my story. This is who I'm trying to reach," maybe people would see it differently.
Hey, her life is her story right now. Y'all.
It's disgusting.
And I'm gonna need you to seriously. Then
Sorry,
we
it's
need to get her help.
Best
If that her life is the fact that she can't hold a marriage and that Christy's helping her get out of a marriage to have a baby daddy, do you understand that's what people see? That's a sad story and that's nothing to be proud of. And then you complain when people are sitting there making up trashy rumors.
Christy,
What are you expecting?
Christy, what?
I'm good for telling her now that I've seen the show and see how happy Gypsy is. Gypsy made a mistake by marrying Ryan. She thought she was going to come out and be happy and get over Ken. She didn't. She made a mistake.
So you think that how that all aired out was, proper conduct? Come on.
No, I don't. I don't think it
So
was.
then where is her story? Where is the helping others? It was all about her messy relationships.
Manipulation. It was more.
It was just showing us how she is a master manipulator. And it's making Christy look really bad.
The story's not over. Story's not over.
What story? You're
now
right.
we just
Now
get to
there's a
watch
baby involved. And so there's a season 2. Again, we are the public. We are watching. You may be living a different story, but I'm going to tell you the story the public sees.
I have no control of the show happening or not happening.
So then again, it's ultimately going to come down to people are going to talk shit if you're going to hang yourself in front of a camera. That's ultimately what it is. You can defend it all you want. It's not going to stop until you get yourself out of the spotlight.
And Rod, you said earlier that Gypsy didn't have somebody to rear her right. Maybe this is your chance to step up and be a father and guide her in the right direction and put your foot down and be like, look, this is not right. This is not right. This is what she was living behind closed doors for 23 years of her life and doesn't have a lot of life experience. But maybe this is your time to shine and be her father and guide her in the right direction.
And think about your other children who've got to be associated with this whole mess.
Say what, Rod?
Honestly, my heart goes out to Mia.
So what?
Because
I
it
have
looks
to-
bad on her. The poor girl didn't do nothing. She had no play in it.
Which I want me to treat her like she's 12 years old, and really make her clean her room and tell her she can't have social media. And
I have adult children, Rod. I have a lot of adult children, okay? But no, you should sit them down, and I would never let my daughter just sit there and stop. You got married. You have honor. That was a vow. So you should try to work on it before I just go ahead and bring your ex in to have a baby with. You teach them right and wrong. You should not be showing, you want to be an influencer, you should not be showing people on TV you think that's right.
well, I know what it's like to be in love with somebody else. I know what it's like to be in a marriage that you just, it's not there. Okay? So it's not right. I agree. I made a mistake getting married to her mom. She made a mistake getting married to Ryan. That's the story. People want to see it. Lifetime want to pay money for it.
Thank you. So you just proved my point. Lifetime wants to pay money for it.
Right.
End of discussion. I got nothing else to say.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you just really told us exactly where you stand on this. And you know what? Hopefully, in season
Don't
2,
get hurt. Don't get hurt when people talk crap because you're dangling the trashiness in front of the camera. I have nothing left to say about that.
I'm not hurt when you're talking trash. I'm hurt when somebody says something that's not true. You can talk trash all you want. You can call us a bad parent. I wasn't there. Christy's a manipulator.
No, there's only certain lies that I tell you like and certain you don't. What makes this lie any different than the rest of my lies?
About any other stuff you said apart from the cops came to my house. You're saying
So,
why is that the only
you're okay
lie?
with me lying about everything else except for that. Okay.
Well, look, a lot of the other stuff is so silly, like Christy sleeping with Ken. Who's gonna believe that? Okay? Now, cops coming to my house, me leaving Christy? Yeah, that's probably believable. Ken being gay? Ken went on there and defended that. He's not gay. I mean, he doesn't have a grinder or whatever.
Listen, at the end of the day, you're in it to make money. And what is more important to you? How you look in your self-respect or the money? That's completely up to you. That's not up to me. I control me, but I don't control the other billion people on the app or on the television or in magazines or that are reading these magazines. So ultimately, it just depends on what's more important to you, self-respect or money. Because
the most important
you're
thing to
choosing money. No. You are choosing money, and therefore, this comes with it. This comes with it. You don't like the lies? I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. You can defend them, but it doesn't mean we're not going to stop pushing them.
hopefully
Hey,
we
Rod,
see
I've
you
got
better.
one question. Rod, I've got one question for you.
Wait,
And
hold
I'm
on.
going
I'm
to be.
sorry. You said keep pushing them. What?
I said keep pushing them, and I'll keep defending them.
All right. Then I'll see you next week.
Rod, I've got one question before you go, and I'm going to be totally respectful. I just want to know one thing. You know how you just said before that you're coming on to defend this, but everything else you guys say you don't care about. Now, we've been speaking in here a lot about the fact that we have opinions, not fact, but opinions that Gypsy helped with the murder of Dee Dee. And you haven't come in here to defend that, but you're defending this. That's what I don't understand.
Well, I don't have all the information that the prosecutors had, so I can't speak on whether she was there or not. I saw Nick say she was in the bathroom. I heard Gypsy say she was in the bathroom. I heard Nick say he stabbed her 4 times, and then blah blah blah. And then he kept on. So I don't think Gypsy.
So you got to believe what you hear.
My opinion, okay? Y'all can make y'all own opinions on.
So you believe what you hear, and I believe the information that I heard, and so we're all safe to say we're in the same boat.
Okay, yeah.
Because
so
none of us have proof of
that's
anything.
why I
We're all
haven't
just believing what we hear.
That's why I haven't come on to say anything about that. That information is out there. A lot of it's opinion based. The prosecutors had the information. And, I can't defend that because I don't know for sure. Gypsy told me she wasn't there, but I don't have proof of that 100%. So I'm not going to defend that. I'll tell you my opinion. My opinion is she stayed in the bathroom. Nick did what he did, and then they did their thing after, whatever.
At the end of the day, though, Rod, I give you hold on. At the end of the day, Rod, though, I give you respect for defending your story and your wife, and I really do. I do. Unfortunately, even if I stop, it's not going to stop the other billion people. Do you understand what I'm saying? I can stop today, but it's not going to stop at all.
I get that. I mean, that's fine. You want to keep, talking about the story, her story, whether it's true, whether it's lie, whether the rumor coming out tomorrow is true or not.
You just got to understand the public is pissed off.
I get it. I don't really want to do another show. I didn't want to do the second show. This is Gypsy's choice. She's living in my home. She chose to do this show. What am I going to do? Kick her out of my home?
No, counsel her. Counsel her how it's a bad decision.
I gotta support my daughter.
And you know what? That's
Difference
so
between
respectable.
support.
And she can get a job.
There's a difference between support and just aiding and abetting her to. I mean, obviously she needs help because you said yourself she doesn't have that life experience. So you just letting her do what she should do without. You need to counsel her.
She needs to make
Discourage her. She doesn't need to make choices on her own yet. She doesn't know how, you just said.
No, she doesn't know how, Rod. She needs your guidance. And we've all sat here and said, we think you have done a beautiful job raising your other children. They seem like really great kids.
Absolutely.
We have given you that applause the whole time. And you have been, it looks like you have been a wonderful father. And we hope that we can see that if there's another season. I hope to see you being that father to Gypsy because I think that's who she needs. And she needs somebody to guide her and help her with life lessons. Yes, you have to let her live her life, but she needs parents. She needs guidance. She's never had that. So my final thing to you is, if I could see anything, I hope I see more of that. I hope I see you being more involved in guiding her in the right direction. I hope I see her going in the right direction because it seems like you've done a wonderful job with the other ones. So for that, I applaud you, and I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us tonight. I know it's not easy to do this, and you get a lot of shit from everybody, but I know it takes a lot of guts to come on here and hear all this, but that's really all I have left to say.
I do, Rod. I appreciate it, and I agree with Jen what she just said. I've said it before, even on here. You guys